Hello everyone, you're listening to Northern Flights, a Park Pro podcast keeping you up to date with the people, tournaments, and culture of disc golf in Canada and beyond. Consider becoming a Patreon today at patreon.com/parkpro. Find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by DiscGolfPark. And now your hosts, Andre, Jesse, and Matt.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 35. There's no Jesse this go around. We're gonna miss him.
Couch is empty.
Yeah, it's actually, we've got elbow room here. So much room for activities. Not too many activities though. Yeah, we got an exciting show. We have Dennis Greffard coming on the podcast. We just finished recording that interview, so we're gonna plug that in after this intro. And we brought him on. He's gonna talk nationals this year and talk about Arvidsjaur. What are you laughing at?
You're too honest, Andre. You got to embrace the artificiality of showbiz here.
No,
they don't know that we already talked to Dennis. We didn't.
I'm an honest person.
As far as they know, we're gonna bring them on. It's gonna be seamless, and then we're gonna say goodbye, and then nobody will be the wiser. But you just can't lie to our audience, Andre, and I respect that about you.
He's coming on the show real soon in just a few minutes, so we're gonna turn that on right when he pops on. He'll be in our green room soon, and we'll bring him in when
he's hanging out, enjoying a bowl of grapes right now and some complimentary buble.
Yeah,
Grapes and buble.
Anyway, so we got him on, and he's gonna we talk a lot about Canadian nationals and the Clearwater courses there, and obviously Max has some experience there. As you listened to the last podcast, he won it. So we had a great conversation with him. We also have some giveaways, which I think, usually we typically do them at the end of the podcast, but we're going to switch things up and do it right here at the start.
I don't even know when the end of the podcast is anymore, Andre. I'm lost.
Time is a construct.
Yeah, we already recorded the outro. No, I'm just kidding.
This whole thing was actually in November of last year.
But we do have this Casey Hannemeyer disc. If you're on our YouTube channel, there it is right there. If you're listening on your favorite podcast network, over to YouTube. This thing is gorgeous. Unfortunately, by the time you're listening to this, it's going to be too late for you because we are just about to give it away right now. Huge shout out to Casey for coming on the show last week. That was an awesome conversation with him as well. So I think we'll just right away we're gonna get this thing. Matt's gonna find out who it is, and he's gonna put a shipping label on it probably not tonight, tomorrow morning. And so we have a total, as usual, patrons automatically entered, and not just entered the one time. So if you partook in the comments on the Instagram post, you have those entries as well. So you get bonus entries, patreon.com/parkpro.
And a surprising number of people mentioned the phrase that pays.
Phrase that pays a lot. So,
yeah.
Northern Flights listeners really showing up on the comments.
Heck yeah.
So we have a total of, I'm not going to say people, but we have a total of 66 entries, which I think is our largest entries that we've had to date. So, yeah.
Well done.
Just show up, guys. The way I've ordered this, I've ordered it by either username or name from our patron, and then I just completely randomized it. So I'm gonna get Max to pick a number between 1 and 66, and we'll.
I'm gonna go 13.
13. The winner is not quite aces from our comment section. I do believe. Congratulations! I do believe they entered. They got the double entry with the A3 mentioned. So congratulations! You just won yourself an A3.
Great,
most beautiful A3.
Yeah, and And honestly, thanks for listening to the podcast. It means a lot to us. And yeah, keep listening because I might keep winning. And as far as giveaways go, we actually have one to give away this week as well.
Wow.
It's not going to be what's in this package because we had someone we had a friend of the show give us a disc. So I gotta find his username here. So why don't you guys fill in? Actually, I'm gonna show this. You can open it. You can do the honors of Max. Don't show off his address.
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
Please do not bend.
So this is
I'm opening.
yeah. So this was the disc that was made for us. It was dyed for us by Dylan Smith. He's a local from. I think he's from the Castlegar area. So he's a disc dyer, and he made us this amazing disc.
He's in the
And,
Slocan Valley somewhere.
Yeah,
It is a hub for artists. I think it might be Castlegar.
Death Putt Disc Dies.
Yes, there you go. It's right there.
Stamp on
Death
the
Putt
back.
Disc Dies.
Slow reveal.
Slow reveal. Here he goes. Dun, dun, dun. I'll put the drum rolls. No?
Wow.
Look at that.
That was
Beauty.
legitness.
It's a
Pro logo.
when he sent this photo to us, it's stunning. I believe that's a cell dye. I don't know much about disc dyes, but
I
it's
know
a cell
absolutely nothing.
dye, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So Matt and I had already chatted. This is going to be our little throw around promo disc when we go to tournaments. But it was so beautiful that we asked him if he could do another one for us so we can give it away to you guys.
Absolute beauty.
And I think the best way to do this is to also announce that we launched a Discord channel. And I think the best way to do it is, you have to be in the Discord channel to win.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to say you have to be on the Discord channel as a member, and we're obviously going to post this to socials, just comment and tag a friend. And so the Discord, you can access that. It's Parked Pro, pretty easy to find. We're going to have a link to it in the description of the YouTube video and the Spotify video or the podcast description as well. So
Damn,
find us on Discord. Join the community. We have lots to talk about. There's a Patreon only chatter. There's main chatter, all disc golf. We have notifications when our Park Pro content comes out. You can talk about what we're talking about on the podcast. There's a specific channel for that, and we're going to check that weekly. And if there's any topics that you guys feel that we need to bring up on the podcast, that's where
Is there possibility of having like a live chat that we could reference during the show?
we're gonna make something like that. We got to make
I
something
think
like
that
that.
would be a really cool feature.
Totally.
Just a little back and forth with the fans.
We've got all the technological capabilities of making that happen, Max. Do we have the brains? Do we have the confidence? Do we feel organized enough? Not yet, but one of these days we'll get there.
Our Discord manager is currently not here, not on the couch. So I'm sure he's got ways to make things happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, head over to the Discord. It is pretty fresh. It's pretty new. There's not a lot of people in it. We're just kind of been testing it out for the last couple of weeks, but now's the time. I mean, you can win a pretty slick disc, and this one's a glitch, but the one that's coming for our giveaway is a Watt from MVP. So
What?
Get it.
yeah, what?
That is
Kind of
so
looks
nice.
like rocks at the bottom of a stream.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of nailed the Park Pro Blue as well. So.
Yeah. Knocked it out of the park.
So head over again. I'm gonna tell his Instagram right now. Death Putt Disc Dies.
Death
and all split up.
Disc Dies.
Yes. Head over to Instagram. Check him out. He's got some great work. I believe he does missions as well. So
Hey, Canadian Nationals, guys. It's happening again in 2024.
yeah, Clearwater.
Yeah.
He recently announced. I mean, this. I discovered that he announced during the interview, but he recently announced that the sponsor is Innova. So, awesome to see Innova step up in a big way, and it gets into to some of the stuff that they helped him out with as well. So,
Yeah. Innova, there's a bunch of Innova baskets around Canada. So obviously, like, They've definitely got a long-standing footprint in Canada. You almost see as many disc golf park baskets, I would say, in Canada these days. It's like one or the other are sort of the gold standard for baskets these days, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, the nice thing about Disc Golf Park is that they are also a sponsor of this podcast. Disc Golf Park is a unique disc golf course concept developed in Finland in 2005. It is based on the idea of building sports facilities in an environmentally friendly way. Disc Golf Park provides great experiences for players of all skill levels, from beginners to professionals. Our main ideology is to introduce disc golf to new audiences. There are several options to suit any kind of course, and all official disc golf parks include professional and safe course design, Disc Golf Park Pro targets, tee pads and tee signs, and an info board to welcome players to your course. The Disc Golf Park World concept consists of multiple courses designed for different types of players. Multi-golf is a new fun activity for the whole family, and in multi-golf, 3 forms of golf are played: foot golf, disc golf, and park-style pitch and putt. School Disc Golf Park offers students a new and exciting form of exercise for the physical education classes. A course suitable for schools, it can be designed in even a small area, for instance, a schoolyard. Furthermore, the costs of school disc golf park are lower than those of regular disc golf parks. We also offer private and group lessons or clinics. For more information, check out the website at discgolfpark.com and request a quote today.
Max, if you could put a disc golf park anywhere in the world, in a city, out in the country, on the top of a Mount Kilimanjaro, where would you put a disc golf park?
It would have been the first disc golf course I'd ever played in my life. Down West Side Road in Invermere. We've been out
100%.
The land just wants a disc golf course. Whether or not we're actually allowed to play there is another story, but
we're 100% we're not
I would
allowed to.
love to put in baskets, tee pads, everything for a legit course, because I mean it's got so much to offer, and it's just kind of a dream of mine, which probably won't come true because
here's the thing is it's a BC provincial park now. It used to not be. It used to be a ranch, but it is a BC provincial park now, and I'm not entirely sure if it's like for protective reasons, but the example that comes to mind, the precedent. I'm watching Suits again, so I'm gonna lawyer
figuring out all the
the
expensive
legal
words.
the precedent is set in Saskatchewan because coming up we have Geo Gold Eagle Open. That course, the main course, is in a Saskatchewan provincial park, so there's precedent there.
wow.
Yeah,
Maybe
they have
people
two
talk to.
like permanent courses in that same park too.
So I all I'm saying is, the dream's not dead.
I mean, I've always thought, why not? Like, why would somebody not want a disc golf course there? But Jesse's always told me, yeah, can't do it. Not gonna happen.
There's red tape. You know what happens to red tape? It's cut.
Here's my question: how can you prevent people from playing disc golf? Like, isn't this the plot of Dirty Dancing? Like, you can. It's legal to throw a frisbee to play catch with a frisbee, right?
I'll tell you how they do it.
Yeah.
Like, you know how you like when you enter into like some parks, they have like a cattle sort of like trail thing, and it's like a triangle thing to get around a post.
Yes, a cattle gate.
This thing at this park is so skinny. There's no way you can fit in with your bag. Like, you have to like toss your bag over. If you have a cart, you're hooped. Like, this is not a cart friendly course.
What if you're a fat guy asking for a friend?
Hop the fence. It's not that big of a fence.
I'm not great with hopping fences either, Andre.
We'll toss you over.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, we have some footage in the vault, so I'm not sure where that's going to be used, but it is so.
At this point, it's if it's going to be used.
Gorgeous views, huge like I don't know, it's just like the dream disc golf course property, and I hope someday we can make it happen. And Disc Golf Park will be people I call.
I just don't see how you can ban people from playing disc golf somewhere. I can see
you're not allowed to bike. You're not even allowed to bike in there.
Well, that's
like
a
they don't
vehicle.
want
There's like rules about vehicles. but there's no frisbee rules in any city bylaws or provincial like park laws that I've ever seen. Like, have you ever heard of a place where you're not allowed to play catch?
I mean, I've heard of places that you can't put in permanent baskets and
Sure,
shit.
I'm with you there. But
Oh, you can definitely. There's tapes on trees.
Yeah, so
like you can play it right now.
At this moment, there are marked trees.
There's probably, I think there's the 18 that you guys had,
I think,
and then we went back.
at least 27 holes.
There's 27
maybe closer
holes.
to 36.
Yeah,
and then
one of them is 1,000 feet.
if you can do that, why can't you carry in 18 temporary baskets?
I mean, yeah, I've talked to Jesse about like hosting a tournament there, of just like, throwing a bunch of like 18, portable baskets, and I mean, tee pads is not do or die, but
The rubber mat
like,
down. Better
it would just be a dream, like just have a permanent course there. Like, I mean, there's even like a parking lot, like, because it's what is that trail called?
I don't know if it's really. There's a parking lot close.
But it just feels like it would fit so well. But whatever their vision is with that land, permanent course might not be in the cards. But
Yeah, maybe I'll stop that. Maybe I'll stop that footage from burning a hole in my hard drive and put it out at somebody. It's not like it's mostly you, just like Max, the handsomest man in disc golf. That's the title.
just a little promo.
That could be a whole Netflix series, really.
Yeah, I pitched it, but they didn't take it.
Yeah. Jason Momoa keeps getting movies. And Max is basically the Jason Momoa of disc golf.
True.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
I'd have to put on some muscle.
Let us know in the comments for the YouTube viewers, or send us an email, or hit us up on Instagram. Let us know if you could put a disc golf park anywhere in the world. I'm like Mount Everest, base camp, Broadway. What's the nice place in New York City?
Square.
Times Square. Yeah.
Central Park. No, Times Square is better. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Urban.
Niagara Falls. CN Tower, teeing off from the CN Tower into the Sky Dome. That'd be a sick hole. As long as your disc didn't land like in the upper deck.
Cool. Well, we should move on to the interview at this point.
Is he ready?
yeah,
Is he here?
yeah.
Is he ready to go?
Yeah, he's in the green room. So we're gonna bring him in from the DiscGolfPark green room. So without further ado, Dennis Greffard. And here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the tournament director of Canadian Nationals, Dennis Greffard.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Happy to have you. So, why don't we just jump right into Canadian Nationals? And this is kind of more of a personal curiosity. It was announced that you were the host of Canadian Nationals back in December. What was that process like? Yes, exactly. What was that process like applying to be a part of Nationals? Because I know you and I had some emails back and forth, and you said that you were thinking about it. And so, what did that look like from your end?
Well, it kind of started out, a long time ago in the back of my mind that we may one day do this. And then, I saw the bid come out, or, the request for the information. So I was like, Craig Sheether messaged me and he said, if you're interested, you should put an expression of interest in. So I was like, okay, well, do that anyway, just so we're not out, so to speak. So just went through that process, and kind of talked to the team around here, and we kind of figured a few things out. And, my goal was to raise the status of this tournament to an A tier this year, regardless. My goal was to make it a much bigger and a more community event. I wanted to involve the rest of the community in it. I wanted other things happening. I wanted a bigger player experience. And, we already had the money. So realistically, there wasn't much I was going to do different. The only thing that might have been different was if we didn't have nationals, I may not have considered filming it. That was about the only. It's about the only thing that I have done in my mind done different.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
and for
after that,
those, I was just gonna
go
say
ahead.
for our listeners that don't know, what Dennis is referring to is the Harvest Talk, which you ran last year, and it was a very successful B tier event. But you had one of the highest added caches, not just among B tiers, but among all events in Canada. So, I mean, that's just goes to a testament to your ability to organize this kind of stuff. And I feel like that's just natural progression. Like you said, you're hoping to be an A tier, but natural progression to hosting nationals. What's it going to look like having nationals in a smaller town like Clearwater?
Well, before we get into that, to your point there, one of the highest. I was a little upset we weren't the highest. To be honest, that was my goal. I wanted the largest payout, that we'd seen in Canada. Unfortunately, not filling, put those plans aside. We'd advertised that we should be, if we're full, around like the $40,000 mark. We didn't hit that, of course, because we were over 100 people short. That took $13,000 out of the prize pool right away, added some costs elsewhere. So, this year, estimated if everything fills up and the sponsors we have, we're looking, over 40,000 for, the prize pool Canadian, like $80 US or something. MPO if we take the average across the country, how many MPOs percentage point on these big tournaments, we should be looking at $19,000 for the MPO prize pool. I think it works out to about $3,500 or something like that for first place. Again, it's always going to depend on how many register, this, that, and the other thing, but that's going by average. What's it going to look like in a small town? Well, the people that don't know what disc golf are going to know what disc golf are. The tournament alone last year, the Harvest Talk, it opened up a lot of people's eyes, and it saw that, disc golf is the thing. We've been pushing it here, man, like 14 years. And, I think we still probably have the highest capita of courses per players, around. There's about 6 players in town, and we got 3 courses. So, you never have to worry about a lineup. That said, we do see a lot of, visitor traffic, tourism traffic, which is kind of the point of developing these courses the way we have. Economic benefits wise, last year we had just over 200 players, 208 or something. We looked at, we went through a company out of back east called Sports Tourism Canada. They have an economics benefits calculator that our district subscribes to, so to speak. And, they put the rough economic benefit of about $195,000, just for that tournament alone. So this year should be, well north. We have people coming for longer. We have a lot more people. So the hotels will be full, the restaurants will be full. Everywhere you go is going to be disc golfers. So I'm looking forward to that.
I don't know, because the hotels were a big part. I mean, sponsorship wise, and
100%.
Giving a good deal on hotel rooms for players.
So there are some codes out there for our 2 sponsor hotels. Now, he's the number one reason we're actually got as big as we did so quick. He's putting up the money. So he made my fundraising pretty simple. He knows a lot of the businesses in town, and, we approached the appropriate ones and basically said, hey, this is happening. We need some money. And they complied.
Tournament directors around the world are just so jealous of you right now.
Oh, it angers them. I get it. And, I'm fully aware that I have it very easy in this sense.
You guys have an idea of actual numbers for how many players could Clearwater theoretically house. Like, I mean, hotel rooms, Airbnbs. I'm not sure how tight they were last year because there was only 200 people
players,
there.
yeah.
But
Realistically, I mean, we have a lot of campgrounds. We have, forget what the number of beds is. I want to say it's about 400 rooms in town. That's just hotel rooms. There's the campgrounds because a lot of people camp at the Wells Gray. Yeah, we can physically host a lot of people. Our tourism traffic July, August, we'll see sometimes 100,000 in a year. So, it's not, these numbers aren't huge, but, during a shoulder season, they'll be really good.
yeah, because I mean, I know the tournament staff last year did a really good job. But are you going to have to like outsource help, like volunteers for the tournament, or how does that look?
Yeah, so this year we're definitely, we ran on a really thin staff last year, kind of me and John. Thankfully GMAC and Nicoletta were looking after the courses, so I didn't have to deal with that side of things. But yeah, we had a couple volunteers come out, a bunch didn't show up. But we made do. So, and one of my points to that was trying to line every single fairway that had an OB with a line, with flags, with ropes, everywhere, just so there was no questions asked. There was, sure, it would have been nice to have some spotters in a couple of spots, but we're gonna fix that this year. We have a lot more interest already this year. I want to get some starters at the tents, so John and I are a little freer to be, around the courses and helping and spotting and just seeing what's going on. Yeah, we're definitely gonna step the volunteer game up a lot. I have 25 volunteer packs coming from Innova. They're giving us some volunteer packs as part of our sponsorship. So hopefully that'll help entice a few people. Yeah, there's going to be a lot more going on. So there's going to be a lot more of the community involved. Part of the plan for this year was, again, including the whole community. Because it's the Harvest Huck, it's right in fall harvest season. Our local farmers markets, they're going to be doing a big harvest fair. So there'll be, a full farmers market going on. There'll be live music at the farmers market going on during the daytime. Yeah, we're working on a few other things to kind of coordinate around town as well, with the arts committee and, the live music and those sorts of things, just all happening at once. So they'll take care of themselves, and hopefully I won't have to do too much extra.
Yeah, having some live music on hand that's always a nice touch. You got to have stuff to do, and that's definitely a fun one. For people that haven't been to Clearwater or the Wells Gray area, and especially people in the U.S. that might be listening, what can you tell people about Clearwater as just sort of the geography of the place, how it looks, what's the feel of the place?
Oh, definitely small town, rural, and so Wells Gray Park is one of the most visited parks in Canada. Again, we see 100 to 110,000 people just in our visitor center alone each year. That's not to mention everybody that doesn't stop there. We've got 41 named waterfalls, of which 15 or so are really accessible. 400-foot waterfall type stuff. Wells Gray tourism, wellsgray.ca, wellsgray.ca. That's the one. www.wellsgray.ca. Helmcken Falls. If you've watched any of the Red Bull ice climbing, Will Gadd, Tim Emmett, those boys have all actually climbed Helmcken Falls in the winter. It's the hardest ice route in the world. So yeah, it's got a bit of notoriety in terms of, the waterfalls. So with that comes the rafting companies, comes guided hiking. There's a lot of solo hiking. There's backcountry skiing in the winter, backcountry hiking. Myrtle Lake is the largest paddle-only lake in North America. It's got white sand beaches that, they look Caribbean. It's amazing. So yeah, you'll never see a speedboat out there. It's 2 kilometer portage in, but it's well worth it. So yeah, it's a nature park. That's what we're about.
Yeah, it's traveling to the disc golf tournament. I mean, the disc golf is going to be great, but this is definitely a travel destination as well on top of it. So this is, if you're looking to plan a vacation to BC at some point, you could do a lot worse than the Wells Gray Park in the Clearwater area.
Yeah, you could fill up a couple of weeks here just by looking for things.
And I can't remember if the trees had been turning colors last year, but
Yeah, they had started. Not quite in full force. I mean, and this year we're actually a couple weeks earlier. But again, it'll depend on weather, on what happens. So traditionally,
like
our
just
Septembers have been pretty warm. So
rolling hills, like, and the ski hill, like being up on that plateau and seeing the whole valley, and it's still pretty raw. Like, it's not obviously a small town, not too developed, so it's like really just, you feel like you're out in the wilderness. But so yeah, earlier in the year, I know it was a bit wet on the golf course.
Yep.
And that mostly just affected teeing areas.
Mhm.
And then I don't know if we want to get into course changes right now, but I think that would be one that elevates that course quite a bit, because we were teeing off from the grass last year. But
yeah. So part of the development for the tournament this year was with Wells Gray is we are going to be putting in turf tee pads this year. Whether they're permanent or temporary is yet to be. But it should help keep water off the pads a little bit better. There was a couple of spots that, traditionally September wasn't usually that wet. So I wasn't anticipating that. And a couple of my teeing areas were flat, but they were also low. So I'm mitigating some of that this year. As well as, again, we're going to put down turf pads everywhere. So even if there is a bit of moisture, it should still all hold together properly. And it's not going to rain this year.
exactly, because I really only remember two tee pads that were like compromised, like either underwater,
hole 5
and
we had to move. Yeah.
And then I think it was it the next one that got pretty muddy, but it was a shorter hole, so like most people were throwing pretty
5 and 6.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, like, there was a lot of good property there to work with, and like a lot of really good holes.
This one thing I mean, again, I am not a fan of ball golf courses. I'm not a big fan. I don't like artificial OB, which that course lends very well to that fact that there is a lot of natural OB. The water hazards just create our OB everywhere. We had to use a few roads and a few ball golf greens, but some of it's fine. I'm okay with some, just not ropes, arbitrary ropes down the middle sort of thing, just to tighten things up. Wells Gray lends well to that. They actually have a massive acreage behind it that's all up in the hills, and yeah, it's been my dream to build another 3 18-hole courses up there. But it's going to take a lot of money up there.
Got to get it to one course per disc golfer in the valley.
Yeah.
Well,
6 courses.
Yeah. If we had 4 courses up there, just imagine what we could do.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of wanted to come back to this point anyways, and we're already back to it. Is you mentioned that you have a small disc golf community. Do you guys? And you mentioned that you get traffic. How many people come for the disc golf, and how many people are stopping on their way through? Do you guys have UDisc stats and stuff like that, or is that something you pay attention to?
Yeah, I follow the UDisc stats a fair bit, but to be perfectly honest, the UDisc numbers are low. They're elevated now from last year just because of the tournament and everybody practicing and following the layouts. But we spent the summer, especially GMAC and Nicoletta spent the summer up there working, and every single day virtually there is 1 to 2 to 4 groups of people playing that we don't know. So there's a lot more traffic than, even the UDisc stats times 3 would suggest. We've had people rent the ski hill out because it's a rental destination for weddings and whatnot, and people have actually rented it because it has a disc golf course on it and done their weddings there. So yeah, the Wells Gray course is kind of interesting because I have a retail shop in town that sells discs, and we'll get Europeans that drive out of the park to come buy discs because they've seen the baskets at the golf course. They're like, we didn't know there was a course here. They should. I mean, if they're disc golfers, they should have had UDisc, but we won't judge. But yeah, they'll come and buy discs, or they lose a lot in the water and they have to refill before they go to their next destination. So we're definitely seeing a lot of tourism numbers. Again, they aren't all documented. Just a lot of people don't use UDisc, which that's fine, but nice if they did.
That is one of those things that as us being as involved in the sport as we can, we kind of take that for granted. It's like not everyone uses UDisc, and another thing that when we're looking at our YouTube stats and comparing them to PDGA stats, there's only 5,000 something total members in Canada, so it's like there's still so much room for growth on the competitive side, and yeah, I just find it's one of those things that I find really interesting. Did you find that you had a lot of new players coming out, or is it more returning players coming out last year? How did people find the tournament?
Well, we got the tournament itself. We definitely got some traction with Smashbox. We got a lot of traction with just promoting the heck out of it all over social media with the prize pool, right? We had a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? And we had some traction from our summer solstice events because they were always well received. So, people that had come to those were coming back to Harvest Huck.
Nice.
Just a lot of word of mouth. We've had a lot of good tournaments here. Thankfully, the weather has panned out for virtually all of them. So, that always leaves a good impression in people too, right?
Yeah, it definitely met a lot of people. It might have even been their first PDGA event last year, and had to register for a PDGA number.
Yeah, we developed some of those people through the Doomsday Disc Golf Series. Because we promoted it at every event we ran, and a lot. That was their first ever tournament was Doomsday, and then they were like, "This is so much fun." So we're gonna come out and play Harvest Huck, and so it was a good segue into it for them. But I think just over the years we've developed a lot of local contacts, and I mean a lot of people. After summer solstice, we were doing them in the springtime, which was absolutely horrible, just due to the mosquitoes. With how wet Wells Gray course is, the mosquitoes were every bit as worse as you can imagine. Yeah, and worse. Every bit as bad and worse. So we started, just everybody would get together. Even, during the COVID times, you're allowed to camp, you're allowed to disc golf. They would come and camp at Wells Gray for a week. We would get 30, 40 people there all at the same time playing disc golf. So, the time, there's always a good time had in Wells Gray and at the ski hill. So, it's hard to ask for better venues.
I'm curious about the reaction of the locals and how tied in are the rest of the locals to the scene, and do they have a sense of the magnitude of this event in the world of Canadian disc golf and North American disc golf? Like, do they understand that this is a Canadian championships of a sport that's rapidly growing and that's going to be seen by thousands and thousands of people, or is this like a neat novelty still?
They have no clue. To be perfectly honest, like there's a few people that understand it, of course, the people that were involved last year. But most of the locals, we've had a few coming out and trying to play disc golf, and we sell some starter packs, and we try, learn to play nights, and yeah, I think people here still feel it's a bit of a novelty, um, but the right people are catching on. Like our business owners, because they see that traffic. Our mayor and council. I mean, I've been pushing disc golf on them for, yeah, probably 13 years, 14 years. I used to be a city councilor. And so every single city council meeting, when we did our reports, our council reports, mine was about disc golf. And, just talking about tournaments we went to, places we went, things we did, people that came here, just driving it home that, this is coming.
Every
So
opportunity.
100%, mayor would look at me and go, "Where's your disc golf report?" And but now they're seeing it, right? So it's good. It's getting there. Our local credit union, one of the banks here, the manager actually approached me last fall and said, "Hey, we heard about your tournament last year. I heard it went really well. It was big. Let us know what we can do to be involved next year." So we're getting approached by the right people.
You know what makes
It's kind of the. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. You know what makes the ideal AM players pack item? Cash.
Right?
Yeah, maybe drop
Force them
that in
to go
there.
pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
Player
gonna
packs,
say,
that's always an issue.
It is kind of like a unique opportunity when it is such a small venue that you get the full support of the community. Like when you go into a Thunder Bay or a Vancouver, you have to compete with all the other sports. Where if you're the big thing in the town that weekend, you kind of have to. Everybody just has to get on board or be left out.
Yeah, and again, being a town of 2,000 people, 500 extra people in town is gonna make a difference. And yeah, there's gonna be disc golfers everywhere. So yeah, it's gonna be a good wake up call, and I mean, even last year, a lot of people noticed, but this year it will definitely be big. Given our scale.
Yeah. You mentioned people approaching you and your sponsorships and everything like that. And one thing that you kind of let loose. I don't know if you've announced this officially, but you mentioned that Innova was providing volunteer packs. Have you announced that they are your sponsor?
Yeah, so we did put that out on social media that we've
Nice.
landed with Innova. That was John Goldthorpe was pretty integral in that because he has the connections down there. So we had some, not just no name faces going in asking for stuff. John had the right connections with Mark, and so yeah, we went back and forth quite a bit. I actually had a couple other offers. One other really good offer. That was it was basically the same as Innova's. They were promising more but couldn't put it on paper yet. So I kind of had to make a choice, and I just it was a very tough decision but Innova came through and they gave me what I wanted, and player volunteer packs were part of that. I had a very specific wish list, and I wasn't going to let go without it. So I got the Canadian Nationals title allowed me to be specific. If it was just the Harvest Tuck 2024, we wouldn't have gotten what we wanted.
Yeah, certainly. It was a long way.
Yeah, for sure. And again, in part of that whole process, and in my asks from sponsors is I'm setting this up for the future years as well. I would like it to lead into a 3 or 4 year where we can keep using Innova for our sponsor.
Yeah, and I think for those that don't know, a lot of the behind the scenes thing, that obviously, a successful tournament will lead to more sponsorship and more desirable sponsorships. Because I'd be curious to see what happens even in Thunder Bay from last year. It was pretty well received there. So and they run other tournaments there. So who knows what sort of offers they could come up with this year. So I think that's that's a really good point. And like you said, the continuity of having the same sponsor year after year, that is also something that, people, like to rely on as well. So
yeah. So with
my turn of thoughts.
that Innova sponsorship, we'll kind of go into where we were heading a little earlier, Max. We will see Innova assets at all the courses, both the courses. So there will be Pro 28s at the ski hill. I know that'll I know that'll make people happy. But yeah, that was one of my specific asks. In my tournament sponsors is we had baskets here to use for that tournament. We've got to add in the warm up areas. We're probably going to be stuck with using the high school field for driving range, but we'll of course have nets on site as well. Clearwater being a small town, that driving range is 3-4 minutes away.
Yeah, I use the school field and it's massive, like probably 2-3 football fields.
I would think, yeah.
So that you were throwing like mids and fairways then, Max.
Yeah, just warm up, like low tempo. But again, maybe the Wells Gray, because that was how far of a drive from downtown Clearwater to Wells Gray?
It's about 25 minutes. So there we'll have, I don't know if you went over by the lake there.
I did.
So just right in the RV park, there's a bridge that goes across the creek, and there's a big open field right there. We'll have a driving range set up there as well.
That was the only time where I was like, I'm warming up, then getting in the car, going 20 minutes, waiting 20 minutes for my tee time. But yeah, for the ski hill, it was perfect. Like, 2-3 minutes and you're at the course.
Yeah, so right by the gazebo, I'll have actually a warm-up net there as well. And then, of course, we'll have the field just across the way over by, where hole 1 tees off. So, we've got those. Were you going to ask something, Adam?
No, I was going to make a comment and say, for those that are listening then, don't really know who Max is. Max is a 1,010 rated player, and he warms up. So make that a part of your routine.
Too.
Warming up is good. Even if you're not going to throw shots, warming up your body is probably more important than actually throwing the disc. I mean, even on the Pro Tour, we get handcuffed into just throwing into nets sometimes. So getting a full body warm up and just getting your body primed as much as it can to withstand the torque that you're putting on it throughout a round. I know disc golf has in the past been very maybe neglecting the athletic part of it, but I think every year more and more people are taking a lot more serious, and I mean, you see the big injuries, so you don't need much convincing to take it serious. And I mean, when you see people sit out half full seasons just because of an elbow that's like, it might not even be like structurally damaged, but man, I can't throw forehands anymore. Well, I mean, maybe if you did a little bit of weight training or warming up a bit better, then maybe your forehand would be fine and you can unlock that half of your game. But yeah, I mean, warming up, throwing shots is obviously ideal. And it's great to see a tournament like Nationals have the amenities that you need to perform at the highest level. So
yeah, you almost don't see a ball golf course without a driving range. Like, that sport has been around for 100+ years, and they came to that conclusion as well, right? So
yeah, for sure. And yeah, again, even not having the Nationals moniker, if you will, these were all things we were going to be doing this year as well. again, just trying to step up the game and, making the experience. That's what it's all about, is experience, right?
I love
It's
having.
good to see.
Sorry, Max.
Good. Mine was a one-off comment, so.
You go.
All right.
Campfire.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see tournaments gain traction and go for more than 1 year. Because, I mean, it's really easy for a tournament staff to put all their heart and soul into one tournament and then maybe realize, oh, that was a lot of work. I can't do that again. Or just like lose the drive. And it's just like, oh, we didn't get the turnout, or we didn't get the...
Didn't get the largest payout in Canada in history. Oh, man.
I want to know what tournament did. What beat you guys out?
Well, I think BCO did. Just because they had like
600
how many
players.
100 players.
Fair.
It's hard to beat those numbers. I think TCO was also ahead of us. They had 400 and some odd players, and they were just slightly ahead of us. I'm not sure where Falcon's Flight fell in last year. But yeah, I mean, we were up there, and don't get me wrong, I'm pretty happy, but that was one of my internal goals that I was going for. So
Yeah, I mean, just the momentum and building something for, like you said, 3-4 years that you can build upon every year, and get more eyes looking at it and get more help. And like Canadian disc golf just needs that continuity of bigger tournaments, or even just people who are willing to run tournaments. Like it's crazy how few people actually are willing to put in. And I mean, it is a big ask. And a lot of the time you're doing it for little, if not no money. So, I mean, it is for the love of the sport. But at this point, disc golf needs that, those kind of people to just offer a stage for people to grow their passion. And I mean, I was surprised how many really young players in MPO last year at Thunder Bay, and a lot of them did very well. But to say this year there isn't that much attention on nationals, and maybe they're like, oh well, I mean, I don't know. Like, can nationals take a year off? Like, if nobody gives a bid, or if there's just not a great turnout, or whatever it may be, and it just kind of discourages a generation of kids that are like, oh, this was really cool, but now this year it's half of the tournament it was last year. And I mean, it doesn't have to be just nationals, like C tiers, B tiers. There just needs to be, like, yeah, obviously it's a big thing to just say there needs to be more, but for the sport to get that traction and to gain those young players to be passionate about doing it for the rest of their life, or for the next 5 years, 10 years, like, because a lot of kids, and especially in Sweden, it's like you see kids that are super into it when they're young, and then at some point something happens and their drive is gone, or the passion for it's gone, and they're like national level skill, but there's just not the momentum for the sport to keep them going. And I mean, not everybody can go play internationally, go to the US. So it's really important to have those communities that just support young players and their passions. And especially when disc golf's not a lucrative sport, and it may be tough for people to get financial support or sponsors if they aren't playing a lot of tournaments or getting out in front of eyes. And yeah, it would just be a shame to handicap kids' future in the sport just because aren't people willing to run a tournament, or this, that, and the other.
Yeah, no, for sure. We need, especially as this sport continues to grow up here, we're going to need more and more TDs, and in saying that, so part of the Canadian Nationals on the Wednesday prior, we're actually hosting a TD training clinic. John Goldthorpe, Carrie Neal putting together some stuff. They're going to do one at BCO. They're going to do one at TCO. We're going to do one at the Harvest Talk to, just teach beginning tournament directors, walk them through tournaments, teach them how to use Disc Golf Scene, teach them how to use the PDGA Tour, the tournament manager, all those things. Walk them through tournaments and try and help them develop their own.
That's awesome.
I think it's a super important component.
That's a really, really good idea. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that, people like Carrie, yourself, and, Jesse's ran tournaments and John, obviously, you guys, everyone's just so willing to share like the information, how to do it. So, I mean, even if you can't attend one of these clinics, reach out to someone that's ran them before. And it's 100%. Nice to be able to bounce ideas off of people. And I know, I was kind of interested in running my first event a couple years ago, and I was kind of like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, just try it. It's a C tier, like a lot of people already don't. Yeah, a lot of people don't have the highest expectations for a C tier, especially in the Valley when you have 30 people signing up, and you just kind of build off that, and yeah, it's a cool thing. It's a fun thing to do, and if you're the organized type, like, I don't know, it's something that I think should be on a lot of disc golfers' lists is to give running a tournament a go, because there's a fulfillment that you get out of it as well. It's not just like, I don't know, Carrie talks about this a lot, is like she doesn't play as much, but she gets equally, if not more, fulfillment from running a good event, seeing other people enjoy 100%. Themselves at your event. So I think that goes a long way for sure.
And I get the same enjoyment just actually even out of working on our courses. Like, I like working on the course. I do like running the events. I like the sense of community that disc golf still has. And that's kind of what drew us to tournaments. I don't know, was that 13 years ago? My wife introduced me to disc golf. I didn't even play it. She played before I did. And so, yeah, she put a disc in my hand, and, now we have closets full. So it's her fault. But yeah, so we just decided one day, well, let's go to one of these tournaments. They were doing a Doomsday tournament and then a C tier over in Logan Lake. And we went and we met the Kamloops crew, and we met all those people. And it was just, yeah, it was a fantastic sense of community. And, it was just, you fit right in right away. And everybody was fun. And yeah, so that's what I like about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask how you ended up coming to the sport, but you kind of jumped the gun there. So why don't I ask, what's your favorite course that you've ever played? Aside from your own, obviously.
Yeah, I'm pretty biased there. I will not lie. Logan Lake has a lot of fun. I quite like Logan Lake. We played the Kamloops courses a lot. We've played, the Pentictons, the Vernon. Naked Acres down in Vernon is always a ton of fun, just because it's so casual and it's usually glow golf. So there's a lot of fun there. Yeah, I guess right now, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely biased to the Ski Hill. It is my favorite course, but I'm well aware of the bias.
It's allowed.
Logan Lake is good. Kamloops is new Dick Hart, though. I think that's going to be my favorite. As an MA50, I played 7 rounds in 3 days, and it's a pretty long course, and I still would have went back for more, even though my arm wouldn't. It's gonna be good. So yeah, they're using it for TCO, of course. So yeah, I'm stoked for that. I just got to find a division to play that will play that course.
There you go.
So I think that's probably going to be my new favorite.
Okay.
It's still young.
You're not the only one that has signed up or would sign up for a tournament in a division just based on which courses they play. That is a fairly common thing. If you're traveling all the way to play somewhere, it's completely okay to join a different division that you're eligible for just to play the courses you want to play, because disc golf is about having the kind of fun that you want to have, right?
Yeah, and I join divisions to play with certain people too. Like if I see a group of people I want to play with, I don't care if I'm donating to MP40 or MBO. I don't. I just, I want to enjoy myself. So
Admirable work.
I think that's great.
donating, you mean?
So you've had some talented players come through, and I don't know if we mentioned it. Maybe we didn't. And apologies, Max, if we didn't. But the winner of the Harvest Huck last year is sitting in this room with us here right now. Max won it with a blistering final round. It was do you remember the rating of that final round that you needed to win it?
I think it was it a 1050? 1040, 1050?
Close. Yeah.
I can't
What was it?
remember.
Minus 11? Minus 12?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the numbers exactly, but both courses were pretty birdie heavy, I would say.
1050.
1050. And I mean, Nick was right on my tail at the end there too, because I had a pretty sizable lead, I think, like through 6 or 9 holes. I think I like birdied everything, maybe except for 2. So I think it was like 7 through 9. And then I think I know I bogeyed 8, which made it interesting, but Nicholas also bogeyed 8, so maybe even double bogeyed. But yeah, at some point I was like, I'll just need to coast to the end, like minimize mistakes. Made the crazy mistake on 8 to just throw it OB so early. But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of, I can't exactly remember the field, but I mean, Casey, me, Nick Culver, Miguel, there was a few people in the mix all 3 days that were like, I don't think I was leading until final round. So I mean, the lead definitely changed hands a lot. And I mean, that was the first time seeing Nick Culver play. I know he just won the Mexican, I don't know if it was in Mexican Nationals tournament or the tournament down in Mexico this past weekend. And he took it down over Kevin Jones. So he's got some skill. I don't know if we can claim him Canadian. I know he lives here now, but still has Iowa on his PDGA member profile. But I mean, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see another wave of the upper echelon players come and play those courses.
Yeah, and
hopefully go back to back.
Of course. Yeah, with that, the other thing, we kind of touched on some of the changes in the courses. There were some things that weren't done at the ski hill last year that I wanted done. Kind of lost the month of September with some family stuff. So yeah, I kind of lost about 3 weeks worth of work on the ski hill. And I think you talked about it a little bit in one of the other podcasts, Matt, like some of the hills, being a little slippery, and not being some designated pathways with stairs. Those were actually all in the plan. So this year they will be done.
Nice.
We're gonna do some pad extensions. There's certainly some holes that need pad extensions.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, there's a couple of changes for sure. Holes 17 and 18, I want to change a little bit. The one thing that having the tournament last year allowed, and having the caliber of players go through that we did, is, it allowed me to look at the stats and see, what holes were actually providing scoring separation, what weren't, for the different fields. So, yeah, I've definitely got some plans in for that. I've got some gold pads going in for a couple of the holes. Interestingly enough, a couple of the holes that I wanted the gold pads already provided a lot of scoring separation. So it was, now I'm not so sure on those, but I mean, I have to go by the numbers. Yeah, there's extended pads, a few holes changes. The Wells Gray is going to get a couple of little tweaks again, just due to some holes being super flat, numbers wise. So it's definitely going to be different. It should play a little harder. We're going to tighten up a couple of the OBs, like the ninth hole, the 18th hole Island Green. That'll get tightened in a little bit. We're going to have bleachers set up there just so everybody's sitting there watching. If you're not unfamiliar with the hole, it's I don't know, about 150-foot drop.
Yeah, I was
It's
going to
only
say
like a
30, 40 meters. Yeah.
Yeah. We're in Canada here. Speak meters. Um, so yeah, it's like a 30, 40 meter drop. It's only like 300 feet, but it goes down to an island green with the drop zone, and it's right at the clubhouse. So basically, everybody that finishes around comes around and sits and watches. If you think of the Maple Hill 8th hole, that's kind of the vibe we're
Same
going
vibe.
for on that hole.
Yeah. Are you sticking to that layout? Because, I mean, so that was course hole 9, but we played it as hole 18 for the tournament.
Correct.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother going and changing. I shouldn't say that. I've been tossing the idea of swapping the numbers for the tournament. Just so A, on coverage, it's congruent and it flows. It's definitely an idea. I mean, the layout will tee off that same hole 10 we teed off of. If you're unfamiliar with the ski hill course, it actually goes in 2 nines. It's 10 through 18, you're back at the clubhouse. 1 through 9, you're back at the clubhouse. So yeah, we teed off at 10 and finished on 9, simply because holes 4 through 9 provided the most scoring separation. Our holes numbered 16 through 18 are a little bit flat last year, so I knew they wouldn't provide the scoring separation that we wanted. I wanted somebody, coming in, if they've got a 3 or 4 stroke lead, to,
Sweat a little down the stretch.
Yeah. I wanted them to understand that, you could lose here. And that treed section of 5 through 8 provided that. And then the island green to finish, of course, just for a little pressure if there was a tie. So yeah, we're definitely going to see some changes there. And for the tournament, yeah, it's quite likely we will just change the numbering system on them, which isn't too hard to do.
Yep. And that's some more great insight into some of the behind scenes stuff, because not a lot of people would think of, especially I guess happens more so on bigger tournaments, is reorganizing the holes because of the scoring separation. Another example is obviously at TCO is during the pros play last year and the year before that, they changed the order of the hole and they made hole 18 even. Original hole 1, but hole 18 on coverage and for the TCO, made that one of the harder holes, and I feel like it just kind of creates that little bit of pressure when you're coming down to that as the final hole, as Max probably knows.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy about that change. Might have changed my practice preparation for the tournament, because we didn't have. I mean, they had announced that change was going to happen night before we played that round, so. Didn't really get too many reps practicing going for the green, but that's might be another topic for another conversation.
Yeah, and I mean that's our goal with this year too. Is I want these courses basically in tournament layout by mid-July, August. So coming down to that final stretch, it's the weed whacking, it's the the putting up the signs, it's the final things. I've got a little bit of a busy week before the tournament, so I don't want to be stressing on tournament stuff. I just want it all done prior, and I think that's always made it a little bit easier having my course, all my lines painted 3-4 days in advance. I'm not out there the night before. Just things like that. Just being prepared well in advance so that there's no prizes.
There's always one or two things that you have to do the night before.
Well, there always is. But most of it can be taken care of.
Yes, yeah, totally. Yeah.
But yeah, I think those courses are going to look really good on coverage too. Like last year, you guys did an amazing job with Dragon Hills and even the park course. Can't remember what it was called, but yeah, I can't wait to see. Like obviously, elevation is notoriously hard to get on, like get a grasp of it on coverage, because the ski hill definitely has a lot of elevation change.
So in speaking to that, before we get too far off, we will have side elevation profiles for all the holes this year.
Awesome.
Yeah. So with exact distances instead of, UDisc plus or minus 5 meter distances, or, even rangefinders aren't that accurate, I've found. So we are full on measuring them start to finish with full elevation profiles. I've picked up a device to do so. So, that way we'll have, come the live coverage, we'll be able to put a side profile on those holes, as well as the flyovers. We're going to do new flyovers for this year. My flyovers were a little shaky last year. But yeah, sorry to interrupt there. I just wanted to make sure we got that in there.
I was actually going to mention something about, when you say side profiles, you're talking about like, when you go on to like Strava or, some, when they're showing off running courses, they show the elevation graph. That's awesome, because that's something that I've always thought would be valuable on every T-Signs. It's just, from coming from a, course design aspect and even graphic design aspect, getting accurate distances alone is a lot of work. So to do that is just like, it's next level. But I think little things like that are the things that people see, and maybe not, people aren't going to come back because they want to see the profile, but it just adds to the experience and adds to the whole thing. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think it takes a course like this because I think Toboggan at D-Glow was another course that they included that little side profile on the caddy book for the Pro Tour event. And I mean, if anybody knows anything about Toboggan, insane elevation changes. And it is kind of, on coverage, you kind of just see what you see, and they can only tell you how much the change is, but actually seeing a representation of it really gives you a better idea of, oh, okay, yeah, this is severely downhill. But yeah, I think that is a huge, I don't know if, the Wells Gray course, I don't know if you would get much input from there. But on the ski hill,
there's not a ton there, but the ski hill course, it's, definitely,
valuable.
Sorry, are you picking up the background? Sorry.
Nope, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you guys announced that if, you guys haven't said exactly if you guys are the ones doing the coverage for?
We haven't said it. It's just all assumed, right?
We are your home for Canadian disc golf.
All right.
If it's not here, we'll promote whatever it is for sure, because the Canadian Nationals is a big event, and if we're not filming it, I'm going to be pumped to get to play one, because I haven't played one in a couple of years now. So I'll be there no matter what, Dennis. I'll tell you that much.
All right. Well, we'll definitely be talking more anyway.
Yeah. One of the best ways to see elevation changes. Actually, I have a question. I barely know my distances with any of my discs. I don't own a rangefinder. The courses I play, I don't really keep track of the distances very much. I love the part of disc golf that's like, I wonder if I can hit that thing from here. That to me is fun. Max is an actual professional player. I know you know your distances of your discs. Do you actually know, do you have a sense of your distances at elevations with any of your discs?
Like uphill, downhill, or are you thinking just
like if you get like
sea
350 and it's a 40-foot elevation gain or something like that, does that actually translate to anything? Like have you gone through your discs, and do you know like a rough translation of meters up or down equals meters straight flying?
I mean, it's not too often that you throw like straight down a hill or straight up a hill, but a couple of instances at the ski hill. But for the most part, I just trust my rangefinder that has a slope gauge in it that gives you the actual distance and then the calculated distance. I find that it's pretty like accurate enough that I can trust it. But obviously, practicing the actual shot and trying to dial in, because then you think, okay, am I throwing it, like how high am I throwing it? Because it's very hard to replicate a perfectly plane or like level plane on that slope or down that slope. So any discrepancy makes a huge difference when you are thinking 30 meters of elevation change.
And especially if you're throwing up like that, it's a totally different disc a lot of the time too, right?
Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, I trust my rangefinder to do the math for me.
Okay. Well,
which I've also heard the argument to that of saying that they should be banned. And I kind of like that idea, where it is kind of taking the thinking out of it, or the skill of knowing exactly what disc you should be throwing. But that's,
Then you run into the problem with people that only have one eye and no depth perception. So my favorite way to figure out what the actual elevation change on a course is to actually get out there. So watch it on coverage when it comes out, but sign up for Canadian Nationals. And Dennis, do you have a sense of when people are going to be able to sign up for Nationals this year?
Yeah, so on Disc Golf Scene, we have a bit of a tiered registration started. So March 15th, we will open up the, heck is it, 975 plus MPO, 875 plus FPO. At the same time, we'll have some of the underserved divisions opening up as well. So most of the female and junior divisions. Then we'll open it up to some sponsors, and then I think it is April 15th is wide open registration. I do have some tentative numbers up there, cost of entry. I'm still playing with those a little bit, just making sure our budget's where it needs to be. I've still got to announce, as with, the Harvest Huck last year, and, we'll speak to it because it's often an elephant in the room, is, some of the pass-through fees. I'm just kind of dialing those in because, as the Wells Gray is a golf course, we have to shut that place down. So just like last year, we're doing a $10 green fee per day up there. And the ski hill we also do, because they are a nonprofit club that, they put this course in there and it costs a lot of money to build. So the Clearwater Disc Golf Club gets a bit, the ski hill gets some. And, so we've got those pass-through fees. We've got, our PDGA fees. We're working on some other fees that, I'm seeing if I can get covered before we do them pass-through. So still finalizing numbers a little bit, but, we're in the ballpark.
Yeah.
I think we got I think I'm at 190 for open divisions and then I think like 140 or 150 for AM divisions. I write these things down so I don't have to remember them. So forgive me if I'm off a little bit.
Yeah. Nationals it is a competitive disc golf tournament, and we know there's going to be cash in there for the pros, but it is also a gathering. It's a get-together. It's a celebration, and it's a way to build community. It's a way to build courses. It's a way to, just basically sort of ingrain disc golf more and more into people's hearts and have different places where they've built disc golf-based memories. So I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Yeah, it's all about the experience. As long as we can provide experience, I think, I mean, the number does matter to some, of course, like that's especially in this economy. But if you can provide an experience for players, I find they don't worry about it too much. I think the experience at Harvest Huck last year was, let them know enough that, if we charge an amount, it's because we have to, and the value will be there. I think we did a pretty good job on our player packs last year at the Harvest Huck. We got a lot of compliments on those, and people loved them, Andre.
Yeah, I didn't even play. I had to back out because of injury, but yeah, I have a hoodie. I was actually thinking about I should have worn it today, but it's my house hoodie now. So, and
Yeah,
the
that's
buzz was beautiful as well. I don't
Isn't
throw
it?
buzzes, so it's gonna go up on the wall.
Well, it's kind of a hanger anyway. I mean, Michael Bernard does just amazing work on the art. So we have another one of his. It's on the harvesthuck.ca website. Our design for this year, we just got it finalized because of the sponsor logo. We went with the Fortnite theme because that's a thing. Um, you know, and
I
yeah,
like
I
it.
mean, it was an idea we talked about last year. So I'm stoked.
Where does the ant come from on the
So
logo?
so on this, it's actually a grasshopper. He's a little bit changed
Okay.
this year. Last year he was a definite grasshopper. This year he's a little bit more transmorphed, but
He's a
the
Fortnite
outfit,
grasshopper.
well, technically, so in Fortnite there's a character called Farmer Steel. So he lives and fights on the farm. So being the Harvest Huck, I wanted Farmer Steel, but we also wanted to carry the grasshopper through late late summer, early fall at the ski hill. They had tapered down a little bit because of the moisture, but the grasshoppers are just crazy abundant. Like there's just thousands and thousands of them all over all the time. So that's where the grasshopper came from.
Well, maybe we'll get Haley King there this year. She's a big Fortnite streamer, so.
Yeah, well, Haley, Cat Merch, Yuli, they all are Fortniters.
All right, we've got a demographic.
I think I was gonna say it's a great way to get a demographic into the sport. So.
Well, yeah, it's funny because the logo has been shared over on some of the Fortnite pages now, and we're trying to get it pushed around again. Michael being the artist he is, he has a bit of a cult following as well, so it gets shoved around there. Like I think there was as many fundraiser discs sold in the U.S. last year as there was in Canada.
Nice.
Just his stuff's pretty fantastic.
Very cool.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a way to get this Fortnite tournament happening at the disc golf tournament, but I don't have enough consoles or screens or.
Oh,
Bring your own.
interesting. Yeah, bring your own console Fortnite tournament.
Old school LAN party, baby. Am I the only one that's ever carried a PC tower off to some warehouse somewhere in my life?
We did it with the original Xboxes and Halo. I remember going and we go in the separate rooms, separate TVs, four versus four. Oh, yeah, those were the days.
Might be onto something.
We
that
have
could
to
be
have two TVs in our living room, so when we play Fortnite, my wife gets one and I get the other.
Okay, we'll figure something out.
All the hotel rooms have TVs, so you could just connect them all somehow through the
And
hotel.
actually, they just got all brand new super high speed internet.
Hello.
Good thing.
Hello.
I like this.
Okay. Well, if we figure something out, we'll stream it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
That could be interesting.
Have to try our hand at streaming commentary, right?
That's good. We'll need somebody that knows Fortnite because I've never actually played it. But Dennis, sounds like you might volunteer if you're not going to play. Maybe you can do play-by-play on the Fortnite tournament.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Who's that? That's over there.
Okay, so harvesthuck.ca is going to have some information. Obviously, disc golf scene, have a look. This is the Canadian Nationals. You don't want to miss it. So let's try and get the word out. Let's try and
Mark your calendars.
Yeah, mark your calendars. March 15th for the higher rated players, and April 15th, you said, for the general registration.
General.
So
and then
mark
there's
it.
some tiered in between.
And we should also mention, I don't know if we said it out loud, but the dates of the tournament are
September 13th through 15th.
September 13th through 15th. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
That is so. So we'll see you here on the 10th.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and if not earlier, because that area is a gorgeous area, and if you haven't been there, I'd say if you're planning on going, make some extra time because there's some exploring to do out there.
Yeah, we have people booking rooms already for the weekend before, right up through.
Yeah, I bet people who are planning on going to the tournament don't, even though they're not registered, they're already in hotel rooms. So, if you have the code up already,
on Disc Golf Scene, in the discussion, there are some sticky notes with both the Quality Inn code and the Best Western codes.
Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, I don't have anything else. You guys got anything else for Dennis? Take that as a no.
Can't wait to play the courses again. I'm looking forward to see what changes you do make, and I mean, yeah, you guys had it in great shape last year. Again, the ski hill being the terrain that it is, I'm glad to hear that nobody got seriously injured. But yeah, I mean, beautiful area, and to play nationals in Clearwater will be an experience in itself. So
yeah, it's we're looking forward to it. It's I'm excited for that part.
And it's your chance to beat Max. So
At Fortnite.
At Fortnite.
That's about the only thing I've beaten him in, maybe.
Awesome.
I haven't seen him play Fortnite, so.
I was gonna say
He's probably pretty good at
only
it.
played it only a couple times.
Yeah,
Max is one of those guys that just is good at everything he does.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dennis, if you have anything else you'd like to promote before we let you go, now's the time to do it.
No, just get on the website, get on Disc Golf Scene. And just watch for the stuff all falling out through there. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming down the pipe. Watch the schedule of events on Disc Golf Scene. We're adding stuff in there slowly but surely. I have added the TD clinic, so if you are interested in, learning how to run a tournament, from the basics, that's something that you won't want to miss. There's going to be some really good TDs there with a lot of experience, and just sharing that knowledge. That's going to be one of the highlights for sure. The player party on the Thursday night, we've got eating for about 500 setups. So, we've got a venue, all that, with a lounge, with some seating area. There'll be some food there. There'll be all sorts of stuff going on the Thursday night. And hopefully maybe Wednesday during the day I'm working on maybe a Flex Start C tier. All sorts of stuff. So just plan on coming early and just plan on coming.
Your friends.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Tell the world to bring your friends.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Dennis. We really appreciate
you guys. I appreciate the platform to share.
Anytime. We'll be checking in with you throughout the year, too, getting people excited
Sounds
for
good.
it. So awesome.
Sounds good. Thanks again, guys.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
Awesome. That was Dennis talking nationals with the guys. So
That was great.
awesome to have him on the show. Really doing a lot of really good things for disc golf in the interior. I think it's just I'm just flabbergasted that he's been able to do so much and bring so much attention to a small town like Clearwater. It's really kind of inspiring because we're here in Invermere, we're pretty small as well. So if he can do it, that opens up opportunities for other places as well. So
For sure. Opportunities are endless. I mean, stepping up to host the Nationals is huge.
yeah.
So, to see.
Yeah, and he's got, obviously with, we touched on it a little bit, but with the Harvest Huck last year and all the added cash, he's, if anyone can do it, it's him.
Making moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice for the western half of the country. A little bit less travel this year for nationals. Three
Yeah.
straight in PEI, which was unreal. One of my favorite places I've ever been in the country. And then Thunder Bay, right smack dab in the middle of the country. It's kind of nice to be swinging back to Western Canada for a year. That's cool.
One thing that is interesting. So it's no secret that Matt and I are currently planning the 2024 edition of the Canadian Disc Golf Tour. The unfortunate thing is that there's an A tier out east as well. So I'm really curious. On the same day. So I'm really curious if that's going to take people away, or maybe there's a date switch coming. But I don't know. It could be interesting.
I would hope to see a date switch. Like, Canadian Tour should try their hardest to incorporate all Canadian events. Like,
Yeah.
being on the same weekend as a Pro Tour is one thing, but and especially if it's an A tier, like 2 A tiers in Canada should never be on the same weekend.
Exactly.
There's enough weekends in the year to make that work. So hopefully that gets
Rectified.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, people are planning their tournaments earlier and earlier, right? Like, this was both of these tournaments, the Harvest Huck and the Oat Goat, or Hoat Goat. I assume it's Oat Goat. We're both in the plans, and I think both had their A-tier status before we got an announcement about who was getting Canadian Nationals this year. So we might have to start choosing a location for Canadian Nationals like September the year before. Like, announce the next year's Nationals at this year's Nationals.
I don't hate that idea.
Yeah.
And so the diameter open at Haute Goat,
Yeah.
Port Hope, Ontario. So, but Nationals.
If
I mean,
you
it's
guys
hard to
could,
beat that.
we talked to Dennis, and he mentioned something about shoulder season being a really good way to make sure that there was places available, but also an incentive for people like hotels and bars and restaurants to attract more people to a location. But then if you're in shoulder season, you're running into people are back at work and their kids are back at school. So if you guys had your way, would you want the biggest tournament in Canada to be in the summer months when people have maybe a little bit more free time to travel, or do you like this idea of having it in September, sometime in September, and it's a nice fall getaway for people, but it might not be perfect for everyone?
Yeah, it's all logistics. Like, I think you're kind of choosing one or the other, or like a mix of either, because obviously you want as many people to attend the event as possible, but if it's right in the mid, like the height of the summer, maybe you don't get the same support from these shoulder season companies that are like, oh, this is typically a downtime for us. This is a good opportunity to pump up our numbers around then. So I think it is kind of you either have to choose one or the other.
So I'm going to do from two different perspectives. I'm going to do it from Andre Park Pro Media perspective and it just kind of goes back to not having 2 A tiers on the same day. It's just like, I like the idea of spreading out the big events over a long period of time. And beyond that, from Park Pro Media standpoint, it doesn't really matter when it is. I will say that September is one of our busiest months with Park Pro, because that's just a lot of tournaments that not only that we're filming, but also that we want to play in. There's a lot of tournaments in September that are great. It's just a great time for disc golf.
That might be back to back to back weekends for us, depending on what happens in the year, right? So
yeah, totally. And then actually I'm going to go 3 perspectives. So then there's the husband Andre is September is like prime hiking time, and my wife and I like to hike. So that's kind of a tough time from that point. I always like my wife makes me book 2 weekends off in September to make sure we can get out hiking. So that's when the larches are yellow, late September. So, and then the other one is from right now. Currently, I like it in September, but I have a daughter, and when she gets into school, I think my opinion is going to change because I think it's going to be a little bit more involved, we'll say. So I know it's interesting. It's an interesting question. What about you, Matt?
I think there's definitely something to be said for having it in the summer months. And if you can go ahead and plan it ahead of time and plan it early enough, I think there's enough places that would still welcome 500 Canadians traveling from coast to coast to your location. It is great to be able to fill some of these places during the shoulder season. Like some of these restaurants and hotels and bars and liquor stores and Tim Hortons's and stuff like that. Like in a smaller town, yeah, it makes a huge difference to have 400 or 500 people all show up and spend a bunch of money once all the tourists are gone. And that can only be good for us and the growth of the sport in Canada. But it's so tough, and you really want to get the best players in the country. And ideally, we want to start attracting more American players as well. And so then you're trying to work around the American Pro Tour or the European Pro Tour. So, but if you have it a little bit later in the season, unfortunately, there's only like so much of a window between when the American tour starts winding down and when there's snow on the ground. So, maybe this middle of September really is the best. It's the best time. It's the weekend between two Pro Tour events. So you're going to give people a shot at showing up at least. And it's too bad. There's never going to be a perfect time for everybody. And but I do kind of like the idea of summer because at the end of the day, like this is the biggest competitive tournament in the country, but it is also like it's a gathering and a celebration for everybody in every division.
Well, and that's the thing is juniors, juniors alone will probably be a little underrepresented. So,
yep.
But then again, passionate disc golf parents will probably just pull their kids out of school.
Yeah.
If you Friday.
What's that?
They're only missing a Thursday and a Friday, maybe a Wednesday, maybe a Tuesday.
Yeah. And you're going to learn some skills. So basically makes up for it. And if your kid's good enough, earn some of that tuition money back for you.
In swag.
Yeah, that's right. No, kids should be going pro by the time they're 13.
Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
Heard it here first.
Yep. Well, I can't wait. One way or another, I'm looking forward to getting up to Clearwater, checking it out.
Same. It truly is an amazing place. So, all right. Well, I don't have anything else. Why don't we show that disc one more time?
It's Beauty Die by Death Putt Disc Dies.
Yeah.
And we'll be giving one out.
We'll be giving away the what? Join the Discord. Got to be part of the Discord. Got to be comment and tag a friend on the Instagram post. So that's them's the rules.
Yeah, and if you don't know what Discord is, get with the times, man.
Yeah.
Utilized platform.
Yeah. It's fun. It's really fun.
You might say we're using it right now.
All right. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, it's 11.
Yeah. Time to wrap it up.
Yeah. From all of us here at Park Pro and on Discord, listen, get Discord. It makes funny noises. You can join channels. I only learned how it works recently. And I'm cool still. All right.
Look at them.
Yeah.
Look at them.
Okay. All right. Take care. Bye. See you later.